Oh, okay. I was trying to record it too, but it's fine.
Hi, and welcome to the Reconnection space. This is the space where we come together to talk all things reconnection with ourselves, reconnection in our relationships, reconnection in our life's journeys. And as always, I'm off around hunting out new and fabulous guests to come and tell us all about what I call their reconnection moment. And today is no different. Today I am joined by the fabulous Rachel Munns. Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
Now, Rachel and I are very, very recent connections. We've only kind of met in person once. We had a fabulous chat though, and Rachel was telling me all about the life that she led and how she got to where she is today now, working very much within the education sector, providing a vital service to our young adults. And I'm going to let Rachel talk about that in a moment. But I just thought it was such an amazing transition and a change that it would be lovely to have you on. So Rachel, welcome to the Reconnection space. Thank you for being on.
Thank you.
So, tell people a little bit, firstly tell them a little bit about what you're doing now in your current life. What is it you're up to?
Okay, so now I'm working with schools, with colleges and with businesses in kind of two areas really. The first one is mental health awareness, but it's no use just being aware of something without knowing what to do about it. So the second, and in my opinion really, the biggest part of what I do is teach personal well-being and resilience. In other words, how to make yourself better if you have a mental health issue, or how to protect yourself from ever developing one in the first place.
And I just think that is so important. And we've spoken about the fact that it's something that we kind of share in common in terms of why we believe it's so important. And I think nowadays it's even more so, isn't it? With the world that our young adults are growing up and going out into, this word resilience actually to me is one of the key things that they need to understand what it is and how do I build it for myself.
Yeah, I mean, stress now is something that everybody is talking about. And one of the first things that I do when I run workshops is ask the delegates, whether that's children or whether it's adults, what do they think stress is? Where do they think it comes from? Do they think there is more stress in the world now, or is it just that everybody's talking about it more now? And to be honest, I think overwhelmingly everybody agrees that there is a lot more stress. And obviously if there's more stress, you're going to need better resilience skills. I mean, there are many reasons why there would be more stress. Social media is a big one. Not just social media, and it's not just, I know that children especially feel that they have to live the perfect life on social media, and there's a lot of pressure. And adults do actually feel that as well. But it's not just social media, it's the whole kind of computer thing, just on, everything is switched on 24/7 all the time. And so everything is so fast now, there's not as much time to think about things, to absorb things. It's just what's next.
Yeah.
And that kind of 24/7 on-demand culture just has a huge negative impact just on your ability to just relax and chill out and enjoy what you actually do have in life right now before thinking about what is the next thing that I've got to do.
It does. I mean, it does feel like we live in a world where you've got to always be showing that you're doing something new. And certainly, I feel that in building a business as well. Everything that everyone else does is so visible. So you're constantly bombarded with, look what they're doing, look what opportunities they've had. And you feel as though you've got to be always coming up with new material, new content. Your life is based on your content in some cases, and I think that's very similar for our young adults. They see so much of what everyone else is doing, whether that's filtered or not, whether that's real or not. They see all of that, and there's no time to just focus on your own path of what you're doing.
Yeah, no, exactly right. Again, that is partially because of the media. and because of social media and things like, you know, what's it called? Not Sex on the Beach. What is it? Love on the Beach. Love
Island. It might as well be called Sex on the Beach, mightn't it? Yeah.
Everybody's got perfect bodies. Everybody, you know, you've got the Kardashians with the perfect life, and we all have to kind of try and live up to this somehow. And it just puts so much pressure on young people now. And you're right, the whole building a business thing, trying to constantly have content going out there and not just selling, but making sure your content is relevant to other people. It's a massive pressure.
Yeah, it is. So we're going to talk a bit more about that in a couple of minutes, because so that's kind of where you are now. But let's go back, because you had what I think is a very exciting career, but you had a very different career a number of years ago. So where might people have seen you before?
Okay, so my past career was working as a television presenter. So I was a newsreader and a reporter primarily, although I did do a little stint as a children's presenter for Border Birthdays. But whilst I was working in television, I saw an advert that said something along the lines of, are you good at presenting? And I thought, yeah, I'm all right at that. Would you like to work with young people? And I thought, okay, this sounds interesting. And I ended up becoming a presenter, but not in front of the camera, a presenter face to face about 10 years ago, running huge workshops for young people in schools and in colleges all over the UK. In the beginning, it was kind of revision skills and study skills, and then it moved more into like motivational things. But during the last 10 years, my family have experienced what I would describe as pretty serious mental health issues. In my husband, an issue that ended up leading to a lifelong heart condition. A lot of people don't realise that mental health issues can have very, very physical symptoms as well. And I guess for me, the reconnection moment that, as you describe it, came for me when my eldest son, this is the kind of tearful bit. When my eldest son was very, very sick from anxiety, and ended up so bad that we had to take him for a suicide assessment. Now, in the lead up to that, I had obviously been learning a huge amount about mental health issues, about how to deal with them with my husband, how to start recovering from them. And then I had to watch my son live through the same kind of traumas. And I kind of thought, well, actually, the thing that I'm the best at doing is getting out there and talking to people. And so I started to develop material to help young people to deal with anxiety and, in fact, any mental health issue, bringing together just kind of a collection of very simple resilience tools. You know, none of this is rocket science. It's all very simple things, but if we don't apply them on an ongoing basis, then we become vulnerable to mental health issues. So I started to pull all of this together and kind of designed a model of my own, if you like. I put it under the banner of the circus of life, because I wanted to put a bit of fun into it. And life is a little bit like a circus, isn't it? You know, we're juggling things all the time. We're trying to balance the demands of work and life.
You feel like you're hanging from a trapeze, don't you? Sometimes you feel like you're hanging.
Say that again?
You feel like you're hanging from a trapeze upside down sometimes, and thinking, I really hope the safety net is underneath me.
Yeah, exactly. So I use that analogy just to bring a little bit of fun into it. And I started doing that with young people. Then I started to do inset days and very rapidly realized that what I was doing was equally relevant to adults. And to be honest, there really isn't any difference. You might apply the skills slightly differently depending on what age you are, but it's all the same set of skills. It's just that when we're well, we think, oh, I don't need to do that. I'm absolutely fine. But then if we start to go downhill, it takes so much more energy then to try to bring good habits into our lives. Whereas what I'm trying to do is to get people to do that just on a regular basis, really little simple things that could perhaps help them not to go down the route of mental health issues in the first place.
And I think that's the key thing, isn't it? That what we really want now, those of us that work in the mental health arenas, is for people to look after their mental health in the same way they look after their physical health. So what we're learning now is, and you see young adults doing this. I mean, I've just gone back to the gym, and this gym, you know, has young adults there as well. You know, they let them come in from a much younger age than when I first went to the gym, and they're interested in looking after their self-image, and you know, that's good. And you know, that's good in many ways. They're not waiting for there to be a problem. You know, they're taking an interest in nutrition, they're taking an interest in physical well-being, and we really want people to understand that you can nurture your mental wellness in exactly the same way. You don't have to wait until you've got the equivalent of pneumonia before you take yourself off, because then it is so much harder, isn't it, to get yourself in that space of recovery.
Yes, definitely. And actually, nutrition and exercise are two of the key elements of being well, mentally and physically. But, you know, it's very easy to ignore that when things are going well in life. And it's all simple, isn't it? But simple doesn't mean easy.
Simple doesn't mean easy. And it sounds simple if you know what you're thinking about. It's a bit like watching Mastermind. You know, the questions are easy if you know the answer, you know, and you're reeling them off. If you've never been taught it, if you've never done that kind of study, then it's just as difficult as, you know, sitting a trigonometry exam. You know, you've got to understand it, and you've got to know where to look for it. And that's why these kind of courses are invaluable. Yes,
yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's wonderful to have help and support one-to-one. But, you know, for a lot of people, hopefully they'll never get to the stage where they're going to need, you know, one-to-one help. But there's lots of very simple skills that anybody can learn. And it doesn't matter whether you're in a group of 10 or whether you're in a group of 100, as long as you take on board the basic principles of how to look after yourself. And it's not like you have to be some paragon of virtue and you've got to eat well all the time and you've got to exercise all the time and you never drink alcohol and, you know, never do this, never do that. It's not that. It's about balance, and it's about just being able to monitor yourself and your own well-being and you know, what things feel like when they're going well, and trying to keep that going through when life is a little bit tricky.
And so how are things for you now, Rachel? How is family now? Because that was the key point for you in making a change and putting you on your path.
Yeah, things are really good now. But I think one of the things that we've learned through this whole process is that it's not a quick fix once you've got a mental health issue, but it also isn't the end of the world either. And as long as you continue to apply the basic principles of looking after your well-being, then you will continue to be well. And it just becomes more and more and more natural. And actually, what I say to a lot of my clients, and I really mean this from my heart, is that somebody who has been down that road, often we write them off, don't we? If somebody's had depression or anxiety, we think, oh gosh, we've got to walk around them with eggshells. Actually, those are the people that can end up being the strongest leaders, because they know how to look after themselves, they know how to recognize it in other people, and they know how to help other people to help themselves. So I'd say that's where we're at with our family now. My son does work with other young people that are suffering, and my husband just knows exactly when things aren't right, and he goes and does something about it.
That's great to hear, and I'm so pleased. And I think you're absolutely right there again. So many people that I speak to who are within the mental health remit are there because of their own experience. And I've shared my story. You know, the reason I trained is because of my experience of therapy, and we understand the importance of it, and we understand the difference it can make to people's lives to be able to share that message.
Definitely.
So how can people get hold of you, Rachel? Where can they find you?
I'm all over the place.
That's what we like.
So you can get me on Facebook, which is Resilient Me UK. My website is resilientme.co.uk.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn, just Rachel Munns. What else? Social media, Instagram, I think it's Resilient Me UK.
Lovely. And hopefully YouTube again soon, back in front of the camera.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so that's Resilient Me, and that's Rachel Munns. So Rachel, as always, my last question to all my guests is, for you, what does reconnection mean for you?
The opportunity to give people their lives back.
Fantastic. There you go. And that's all we want. You know, that is that feeling that people get when they get reconnected, that they have actually got their lives back. So Rachel, it has been lovely to speak to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's great to have you back in front of the camera. We want to see more of you. Rachel and I are going to keep talking. We've got some exciting things that we're talking about to keep the mental health awareness out there with our young adults. If you have enjoyed this interview in the Reconnection space and you've clicked like, that's great. But also don't forget to click that all-important subscribe button, because when you subscribe, then you will never miss an episode of the Reconnection space. And we are filling it with the most wonderful interviews, lots of interesting stories. If you have a story of reconnection that you think the viewers would love to listen to, then why not drop us a line, because we're always looking for new people and we're always looking for new stories to share. So thank you once again. Thank you, Rachel, again.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon here in the Reconnection space. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.